So when I was 14 years old playing Sunday League, there were 4 players on my team who got noticed by scouts, were offered academy trials and ended up signing their first contract. And I'll just spoil it, although this was a long time ago, one of these players was me. So for us players growing up playing in London, which is one of the hardest cities to sign academy contracts in due to all the competition, how were we able to stand out even though we were such different footballers from one another? Well, in this video, I'm going to be explaining the 4 types of footballers that academy scouts always notice and often give trials to. And once you can identify which type of player you are, it makes the game a whole lot easier to understand. Now, if you want direct one-to-one help from me with identifying your player profile and creating your schedule that can help you get to this level, go check the top link in the description. I'll drop my program there. Now, without further ado, let's get into this video. Give me less than 10 minutes of your undivided attention and it could transform your career. With that being said, player number 1 is the physical specimen. These are the players who just immediately stand out. Just by looking at them, they're often the biggest, strongest, fastest, just most explosive players on the team. And the reason they always instantly stand out to coaches is because they have things that aren't coachable. If they have all these great physical attributes, coaches know that if they can teach them to be technical and tactical, these kids could go really far within the game. These players dominate duels, they cover loads of ground, they push off you, they're just a nightmare to play against. And I was one of these players who struggled to play against these guys. And I also watched these players get opportunities ahead of me. So if this is your player profile, the one thing you need to focus on and the one thing you need to make sure doesn't happen to you is that you become over-reliant on your physical attributes. There are too many of these players who, when they're 14, 15, they're able to just rely on their speed and strength. But once you get to 17, 18, 19 years old, when everyone else is caught up and everyone else is a similar strength and speed to you, it becomes a completely different game. So instead of just relying on this, make sure you're doubling down on your technical ability and your tactical understanding. So player profile number 2 is the technician. Now these are the players who are just technically very, very good. They're composed on the ball, they have quick feet, they can receive under pressure, and their first touch is always on point. When I was this age, this was my player profile, and this is what helped me stand out. Think of players like Pedri, Bernardo Silva, Martin Odegaard. They're almost the opposite of the physical specimen of player number 1. These guys are usually smaller and potentially even overlooked, so until they reach older ages, they aren't really given that chance because they're usually a bit smaller, a bit weaker, and just not as fast as everyone else. However, these are the guys that sort of hit their peak a bit later, and once they get to 19, 20, 21 years old, they're the guys who are the star of the team, not the physical specimens. Now, a common mistake for these players, and some of the reason why they don't stand out, is because they play too flashy or too pretty. These are terms that scouts and coaches use when they're analysing a player. If a player is really good technically, but they can't do the dirty work, they're scared in tackles, they don't want to cover back, but just because they're technically good, the chances are you won't make it through the academy gates. You can be really good technically, but unless you're dribbling through the team every time you get the ball, you also have to be able to do the other side of the game. You must show aggression and relentless work rate with tenacity off the ball. So the third type of player is what I call the all-rounder. This guy can do everything at a really high level. He's not super flashy, he's maybe not the biggest or the strongest, but he can do all the basics at a higher level than everyone else. His first touch, his passing, everything, all the fundamentals are at a super high level. They can usually play off both feet, and you can almost guarantee that they'll have an 8 out of 10 game every single weekend. Now these are the guys that you can usually play in multiple positions, and that's another reason why coaches love these guys. Think of a player like Philip Lahm, İlkay Gundogan, Zinchenko, players who are just technically super sound and are able to go across different positions on the pitch. Now although they're super tactically aware and their footballing IQ is very high, the common mistake I see for players like this is not standing out enough. Yes, it's great being able to do the basics to a high level, but when you're in Sunday League, you need to be standing out as one of the best players. Don't confuse safety with intelligence. You need to be standing out if you want to attract the eyes of scouts and coaches, because once you enter those academy gates and you get that trial, if you're just the same level as everyone else, you won't get signed. You need to be that level above. Now, the fourth player is the relentless worker and grit, disciplined mindset player. This guy never stops working, he never stops running, he's a leader, you can trust him, and he's super, super reliable. It's the guy who turns up early, who leaves late, and he may not be the most technical, but scouts always love players like this because every team needs someone like this. These are the guys who always come in fit at pre-season, and their energy is contagious. It spreads to those around them. They're always uplifting people, whether they're playing or not. These are the kind of guys that you make captains. Think of players like Conor Gallagher, James Milner, Sergio Ramos, players who die for their badge, players who give everything every single game, every single training session. It's almost impossible to know this as a coach. Now, usually they're not the most technical player and they know this, but you can really have a career in football if you're fit, if you lead people, and if your energy is positive and contagious. However, the common problem for this is the same amongst majority of players who fit in this category, and it's they're just not technically good enough. They can be like this at Sunday League and they can get away with it, but when it comes to playing under pressure, playing out of the back, their receiving skills, it's not enough. And when they get into the academy, that's always going to be the thing that holds them back from getting a contract. And so once you identify which type of player you are, all you need to do is double down on your biggest strength and your biggest weakness. You'll probably fit under one of these 4 categories, and think about what I said could be the one thing that really holds you back from getting those academy trials and contracts. And as I mentioned, if you want to improve your overall game, get drills, sessions, and a weekly schedule which is tailored to you and your ability, you can check the top link in the description. You'll get direct message and access to me, and we can figure out exactly how to get you to the next level.